Το ξενοδοχείο αποτελούσε στην ουσία το σημείο συνάντησης όλων των ξένων ανταποκριτών. Η πληροφόρηση για το τι συνέβαινε στις υπόλοιπες περιοχές του Αφγανιστάν ήταν ανύπαρκτη και για τον λόγο αυτό οι δημοσιογράφοι αντάλλασαν τις πληροφορίες που είχαν συλλέξει νωρίτερα μέσω του δορυφορικού τηλεφώνου σε μια προσπάθεια να παρακολουθήσουν τις εξελίξεις.
It's extremely difficult to work here, Pakistan and Afghanistan. Exactly. I'll give an example. When the war started, there were two blocks of journalists. One block decided to cover the war from Pakistan because we could have an overview of everything. We could cover Pakistan, we could cover Afghanistan, and we could cover especially American reaction and the rest of the world, access to internet, although it's very slow, relatively good communications and all that. I was part of this block. There were around 700 journalists, I think, between Islamabad and Peshawar. The other bloc decided to go to the Northern Alliance. I think there were 200, 250 journalists. They decided to go to Tajikistan and then cross back to Afghanistan. The problem is, if you covered this war from northern Afghanistan, you are totally isolated. There's no communication. Even if you have a sat phone, it's complicated. I was there before the war. In August, I spent 17 days in northern Afghanistan. Less than a month before Massoud was killed and then the attacks on New York and Washington. I was totally isolated for 17 days. We didn't even know what was happening in the next bazaar, you know. We had to get a driver, go there and see what was happening. Nobody knew anything. So, of course, in these first months and a half, sometimes I regretted my decision because I don't know what's happening inside Afghanistan. We knew because we have sources in Peshawar, people who are crossing back from Afghanistan all the time, but we were missing the local action in northern Afghanistan. On the other hand, from Pakistan, we could have this overview. But the war was fought, basically, it was a war of restrictions from both sides. On the Pakistani side, there were lots of bureaucratic restrictions, including sooner or later we could not go to the tribal areas, so we needed permits, and if we went without a permit, we would be arrested. If we went with the permit, we would be with an armed guard. If we went to Quetta, we need an armed guard, even to leave the hotel. All sorts of hassles. Every 15 days you have to renew your visa. You know, these kinds of problems. And the Taliban, obviously, never gave us a visa. So they had 700 applications in the embassy in Islamabad that they said they had faxed to Kabul, and we never got an answer. None of us, you know. Everybody applied all sorts of pressure to try to go to Taliban-controlled Afghanistan. It never happened. And then one day, the border simply melted, and a convoy of journalists crossed to Afghanistan. So it was very, very frustrating to cover the beginning of the war. Now that we are here in Kabul, now we have a problem of communication because we barely know what's happening in Kandahar. We barely know what's happening in Kunduz. We barely know what's happening in Mazar-i-Sharif. There's no communication. We cannot send our pieces. You see rows of journalists every night in front of their sat phones dictating their pieces because they cannot send anything, you know. So it's been, since the beginning, like most of us are here for 2 months now, it's been one frustration after another. But it's part of the picture as well.
Ο Πέπε ξεκίνησε να καλύπτει την περιοχή της Ασίας πριν από λίγα χρόνια. Ωστόσο, αυτό που εντυπωσιάζει είναι το τι ακριβώς κάλυπτε πριν ασχοληθεί με το συγκεκριμένο κεφάλαιο.
In the beginning of the 90s, when the Gulf War started, I was exactly in Hollywood doing stories about Tom Cruise and Julia Roberts. So I felt myself to be a complete idiot, and I was missing the flow of history. So I said, no, that's enough. So I stayed another few months, and then 2 years later, 1.5 years later, in '94, I moved to Asia to cover Asia, basically geopolitics, politics, and economics, based in Southeast Asia, Bangkok and Singapore, but traveling all over. And, of course, Central Asia as well, because it has always been one of my main interests from a literary point of view and also from geopolitic and military point of view. So I think this was the place to be for years, you know. It was hard in the beginning to convince my editors that I should cover Central Asia. Obviously, they were more interested in Arnold Schwarzenegger than in Mujahideen wars. But after a few years and a lot of difficulties, obviously, then I could impose this vision that this was essential. And what happened after 11 September just confirmed what I always thought. This is the key area of the world in the beginning of the 20th century, in my opinion. I thought the war here would not be fought like it's being fought now, like a war against terrorism, as the Americans put it. I thought it would be basically a war, an economic war centered on oil and gas and control of natural resources of Central Asia. Because everybody is involved and everybody has interests here. Americans, Europeans, Iran, Pakistan, Russia, China, Central Asian republics. But now the war is completely different. So from a professional point of view, it's the right place to be at the moment. I wouldn't be anywhere else. If somebody offered me a bungalow in Bali, $1 million bungalow in Bali right now with thousands of hoodies around me, I would say, no, I prefer to be here.
Ο Αχμέτ Ρασίντ είναι ο συγγραφέας ο οποίος έζησε περισσότερο από κάθε άλλον τους Ταλιμπάν. Οι χρηματοδότες της Αλ-Κάιντα ξεκίνησαν την ενίσχυση της οργάνωσης πριν από 10 περίπου χρόνια από τη Σαουδική Αραβία, ενώ οι εκπαιδευτές της, σύμφωνα με ειδικούς αναλυτές, εξακολουθούν να βρίσκονται σε γειτονική με το Αφγανιστάν χώρα, η οποία στήριξε την ιδέα των Ταλιμπάν από την πρώτη στιγμή. Η άποψη του Αχμέτ Ρασίντ για την εξέλιξη της κρίσης διακρίνεται από αισιοδοξία. Ωστόσο, δεν είναι όλοι το ίδιο αισιόδοξοι.